Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
What to do when the plan is not the plan. Here's the craziest piece of this. I actually had a different podcast I was recording. Literally got lost in thought. This happens to me at times in the podcast. Even if you listen for a while, you might even have me, I literally will say sometimes, where was I? Because I get so engrossed in the conversation that I envision, literally sitting across from you, sister, having coffee, having a conversation. Or I envision, being with a client and coaching and giving feedback. And so I literally got so lost in thought. I'm I had no idea where I was. I have no idea where I'm going with this conversation. I have no fucking clue. I could not find my way back. I need to pull in to get gas. We had snow today in Victoria. It's fuck. So I just stopped it, filled up, and I'm you know what? I'm not supposed to talk about this. I'm supposed to talk about this when the plan is not the plan. When the plan is not the plan. Right now in my life, there's a lot of shifts that are going on. Business, myself and my husband, and things that we are looking to create together. Shifts that are happening in parenting. A lot of challenges with our 4-year-old right now. Shifts that are happening in our marriage. Shifts that are happening in us individually. Where there's some things that are transpiring that are not the way that we planned them to be. They're not. And there becomes this feeling at first of well, wait a second. No. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We got this mapped out. And it's and then life delivers a left turn. Right? Life gives you something else. And it's not the way that you planned it to be. And you will want to fight against it at first. You're well, wait a second. This isn't the way that I didn't fucking sign up for this. Listen, I can give you a couple different examples to have some understanding of this. And so my husband's diagnosis with Crohn's disease. Fucking healthy young man. At that point in his late 30s. What the fuck do you mean Crohn's disease? No, you don't understand. Ed runs marathons and ultramarathons. He's a healthy, fit guy. Can't you see from the outside? Good looking man. What do you mean? That's not a typical profile of Crohn's. Man in almost 40. No. That's not how it usually presents. No. This was not the plan. Conceiving, or attempts at conceiving to start our family. It was not the plan to not conceive. It was not the plan to go through 7.5 years of pain and fertility testing and treatments and hope and having my fucking heart gutted on a regular basis. It's not the plan to adopt. Moving here to Victoria wasn't the plan. We had a totally different plan. Move to Ontario, yeah. No, else was the plan? Sell the practice as opposed to close the doors and lose several tens of thousands of dollars. Probably about $100,000. More, actually. More. Still had to pay out stuff like lease and negotiate out of that and equipment rental. And the plan is not the plan. Often. That's just not the way that it fucking works. And so you can resist and push against it. And listen, there'll be times in flow where you're but I got this planned out and everything came together. Amazing. But what are you going to do when it fucking doesn't? And that is not to be pessimistic. That is real, sister. That is real. So, you know what? Ed and I could have taken the situation of infertility and said, you know what? Fuck it. We're not supposed to be parents. And believe me, I had that thought several times. Even after we had our children. And we'll come up with major struggles with them. Of course, it's a lot of stuff with parenting, but if you've gone through infertility and come out the other end and still did not conceive a child, that's just the reality. Shit's going to come up. You're well, maybe I wasn't supposed to do this, and that's why. And run off and spin off in these stories. It's just what happens. No doubt in my mind that the plan was not my plan, but there was another plan. Because with absolute certainty, I knew I know. The reason it didn't work out that way is because I was destined to be Tyson and Kai's mommy. 100%. I bet my life on that. I know that to be true. But the plan was not the plan. And so, what do you do when that happens, right? Like I was saying with Ed and I, we could have just been like, all right, you know what? We're not supposed to be parents. That could have been a path, right? That could have been a path. But the reality is that when you look up to a different possibility, right? We had actually, what's interesting is we had talked about adoption about 3 years before we started the process. And like a lot of people had a lot of myths about adoption. Oh no, those are damaged kids. Those are kids that have issues. You know, it fucking burns me that one of, and I hate to have to say this way because it's become it, but the most recent school shooting, they keep making reference to how this kid is adopted. It has fucking nothing to do with him being adopted. That's like using the term male nurse, pardon me, not, or female doctor. Like, they're a doctor or they're a nurse, or it's a teenage boy, clearly troubled, that did this. The fact that he's adopted has nothing to do with it, but I had myths about it like a lot of society does too. And then as we went on, the process said, no, we're still going to get pregnant, and it didn't happen. I realized that this is not happening according to plan. So what is it that I want? It takes some, it takes effort to kind of just be, okay, great. It's not going this way in the way that I saw it happening. So what is another way? What is another possibility? I tell my son Tyson this all the time, my oldest son who's 7. I said, Tyson, there was always a solution to every problem. He goes, well, not every problem. I go, yes, there is. It's just you might not be able to see it right now. Excuse me, it might not become apparent until later. It might not be clear. But if you only saw it that one way, right? If we only saw like this is the way it's going to go. And I knew after a point, I knew that with all the different fertility treatments and stuff that we were doing, and it was like, it had gotten to the point where the next thing was now going to be IVF. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm done. Like, I want the plan. I still want the plan to be, I get pregnant and, I'm able to not only be pregnant, but I want the experience of birthing a child. I want the experience of breastfeeding my child. I have to find another way to make the outcome, which is really like, I want to be a mom. How do I make that happen? And when I stepped out of it's only going to go this way, biological child, it's going to be, quote, my child. Right? All the myths and the shit I had about adoption. That I realized, you know what, maybe we should take a look at adoption again. Little did I know that was the plan. The plan was different. It was gonna be done in a different way. The plan was not my plan, but it was another way for me to get what I wanted, which was to become a mom. And so I remember clear as day. I had this conversation with my husband Ed the other day of like, I remember being out on a dog walk, because we had 2 dogs, still the same 2 dogs that we have, in the winter. We lived in Alberta. And I think maybe just being open to adoption, just saying, well, let me just go look. It was like a Saturday night, we're at home, or like, I don't know, watching a movie or something. The things you do when you don't have children. And I remember going into our office. This is our first home we had in St. Albert, Alberta. And Googling, I'm sure it was just like Adoption Alberta. 2 sites came up. I remember looking at one going like, this is it. But I called both of them. I actually called, not emailed. Left messages, maybe I emailed, I don't remember, but... and then Adoption Options is the one we ended up going. They were the first ones that got back to me. The other one got back to me like a week later. Adoption Options got back to me Monday morning. I was like, I just knew. I'm like, this is it. I remember showing Ed the website and going on that Saturday night and saying, Ed, this is it. This is how we're going to be parents. The plan was not the plan. There was another way for us to get the outcome that we wanted. So here's your more tip for today, sister. Where are you right now so stuck on one way of getting what you fucking want? One way of creating an outcome that you want. One way of getting a result that you want. And you were so fucking in that box of like, it's got to be this way, that you can't even see that if you simply looked fucking up, that there would be other possibilities presented to you. Other ways for you to start saying, okay, if it doesn't happen this way, let me do some work. What's another way? Maybe this is a possibility. Maybe this is a possibility. Not saying that this is the way it's going to go down, but simply being open to other possibilities. I mean, Ed and I even looked into, at the time we looked into surrogate, and then we did what's called IUI, where they actually take out so we've got a sperm sample of Ed, they take out his good swimmers, they inject it into me. We did that, and then that wasn't working. We said, okay, well, let's use donor sperm. Then we did that. Can we do surrogate? Oh, it's different in Canada. Okay, well, how about adoption? Like, we simply started to look for other possibilities because it wasn't happening according to our plan. The plan was not the plan. So what is happening right now in your life, sister, where you are so fucking stuck on one way of seeing something? And here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up your journal and write what you want. This is the result I want. I want to, maybe it is something you're trying to conceive. Maybe you're like me. It's like, I want to be a mother, right? I want to be in a happy marriage, and maybe you're not in one, or I just want to be married. I want to start my own business. I want to lose 50 pounds. What is the clear outcome that you want? So this is the first step. The second step you're going to write is this, and underneath that, so you're going to write what you want at the top of the page. Underneath that, you're going to say, the plan I think it is this. And that's the one that you're stuck in right now. And then the next thing you're going to write is this, step number 3. What are the other possibilities for me to get this result? And start writing. I'm telling you, sister, if you simply start to ask different questions versus why isn't this happening? Why me? Fuck me. Life isn't fair. Why is life so unfair? Those questions get you nowhere. Questions of what's another way will get you where you need to be. Where you need to be. So, sister, 2 things. If you do not already subscribe to the podcast, I want you to go ahead and to do that right now on iTunes. And go ahead and leave a 5-star review. Listen, there's a lot of hater reviews out there. It's okay. I know this message is not for everybody. But I know there's many of you that listen that love this podcast. So help another woman out that's actually looking through reviews and going, is this even worth listening to? We're going to drown out the hate with love. And so I would very much appreciate if you leave a 5-star review on iTunes, leave your words about how the podcast has really helped you. You get this for free. So help another sister out and just know that your words and your encouragement and your real experience, don't fucking lie, like your real experience about what this has done for you and what you like about the podcast is going to possibly inspire another woman to listen and to get results for her. Okay, so that's number 1, subscribe and leave a review. And number 2 is make sure to subscribe to the Women Wanting More newsletter. There's some new video trainings that I'm creating, that I've created that you will actually get this when you opt into the newsletter. And that's over at drkarenosburn.com, drkarenosburn.com. And this is really to help you find out and remember who you are. 2 trainings, one on how to drop the stories that are holding you back, and another is how to create new stories. These are valuable trainings that were fire I did inside the Women Wanting More Experience free Facebook community. So go to drkarenosburn.com right now, opt in for that. We will send you the videos, and you'll be part of the VIP access and discounts on programs, and you get, advance notice of all exciting things that are happening. Women Wanting More. I'm sister. There's some big shit coming up in 2018. You got to be in the newsletter to actually be privy to it. So that's over at drkarenosburn.com. So I will talk the next episode. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosburn.com/newsletter.